I have won my fourth league challenge of the season, and we are 14 days officially in the 2025 season, so I am done until the start of next season. Or am I? Starting from here on outwards, I'm going to do some polls if I end up going to league challenges for you guys here at the YouTube channel. If you are subscribed, you can leave a comment down below about decks that you think I should play coming up when I go to a league challenge. And I'll be playing them for fun to hang out with my friends at locals and trying out some of the wacky decks that you guys recommend. Taking them to an official competitive setting, you guys can range anywhere from Festival Lead to Conkeldurr if you'd like. I just got to make sure I have the cards for those cards, the decks, and we'll take them for a wild ride. But that being said, we're starting with the spreadsheet today because I did end up winning my challenge this evening. This morning I went to a challenge where I played Snorlax and got second place on perfect tiebreakers, and I'll explain in a second when I show you guys the list. I got second there, and so I had to go to the next one and win in the evening, getting my fourth and final league challenge win for the competitive season. Now let's look at the cost tracker just to see what did I get in return for some of these challenges. The morning one, a $15 entry fee. I was awarded with 2 prize packs from Series 4, a very lackluster reward. And in the evening for a $5 challenge, I got 5 prize packs season 4. For something like a $5 challenge, I don't really expect any prizing, but for something with $15, it was a little bit disheartening seeing something like this. I think stores need to do a little bit better than prize packs because that is something that Pokemon gives you to basically hand out to contestants at League and other things. And just because your leagues have not had a ton of attendance does not mean that you should be able to hand out a ton at a time. This $5 challenge I do appreciate because 5 prize packs season 4. They also gave out a couple of promos that they had sitting around as well, like the Poffin and the Devo and the Super Rod, or the Evo, sorry. Which means that, that just makes up for more value, and it kind of just felt fun. Like it was a $5 challenge. I didn't expect anything. But for 15, like, come on, man. 2 prize pack series 4, Labyrinth, do better. That being said, I ended up playing block Snorlax to both of my challenges. My local Justin Brown has been absolutely tearing it up with Blocklax. He has been changing up cards here and there, and he has been dominating. I think in 4 challenges, he's gotten top 4 times. So he has been actually on a better track record than myself. And you saw in the videos that I've hit him 3 times, and I've been basically his only loss. I've been his kryptonite at pretty much every tournament so far. But every single time, I feel like if I wasn't playing the tech cards that I needed to beat him, he wins the challenge every time and just beats me as Gardevoir. Especially with his new addition of the Cornerstone Ogerpon, I felt like the matchup is really bad for me now as he's been adapting his list and fixing it to beat me. So I said, hey, Justin, do you mind if I take your list and play it for the challenges tomorrow? And he said, no problem, Rahul. Just make sure you shout me out on the YouTube video. So shout out to Justin. Love you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing, and I appreciate the Blocklax list. I think this list is absolutely genius. It's really good for the local scene when you don't know what you're playing up into. I'll just break it down as we go. 4 Snorlax, 1 Mimikyu, 2 Rotom are just pretty standard, I think. The Pidgeot is there so you don't deck out, because I think Justin has had some experiences where like the Silene Double Tails has come into clutch, and I think having another thing to put your Sealstone on when Rotom has a big charm or a different tool on it can be handy. And the Cornerstone Ogerpon just gives you a second way to deal with things like the Gardevoir matchup, for example. If you put up the Mimikyu, they could get Turo, Fluttermane, and just knock it out and then have a second Turo to play from there. But the Cornerstone just makes it kind of impossible for something like Gardevoir to get a Drifloon, Double Flutter, and for like 3 routes and a Gardevoir on board to kind of do what they want to do, and just makes the game really difficult from that point onwards. And the Cornerstone also shores up the Charizard matchup and the Dragapult matchup because you can just put them into a weird spot where now their energy is scattered all over the place, and their Dragapult doesn't actually have a ton of efficiency in that matchup. The Stadium count is 1 Artisan, 3 Sinnoh. Makes sense to me. Doesn't I just took Justin's list, nothing crazy. 4 Arven, 4 Penny, 3 Airy, 2 MF. It feels pretty consistently standard. It has been for a long time. The 1 Iono, 1 Boss, 1 Erica's, 1 Silene, 1 Yelchir also seems pretty standard from what Blocklax lists have been playing. I think some are playing a second copy of Silene and some don't play a copy of Yelchir, but in a best of 1 or potentially even best of 3 scenario, why risk decking yourself out? And playing cards, I think that aid a worse player like myself that doesn't really know how to play Blocklax is good, like Pidgeot and Yelchir. It made my prize checking a lot easier where I was like, okay, I have Pidgeot, I can just play a little bit reckless because I guarantee the infinite loop basically. Then there's 4 Nest Ball, 4 Gear, 4 Kanagacha, 4 Flute, just very consistently standard because you probably get a prize one of those at some point, but you just need those cards. 2 Switch Cart and a Heavy Ball is pretty normal as well. 1 Rod, 2 Palpad, also normal. The Picnic Basket is a tech that many Blocklax players are now playing for Gardevoir because the Gardevoir board at some point became 1 Flutter, 3 Ralts, 1 Gardevoir, and a Drifloon. And the Drifloon, once it has 60 damage on it, can basically one-shot the Laxes with pretty efficiency. But if you put 3 energy there, 3 energy on Gardevoir, you only have usually 3 left to work with. And at that point, the Picnic Basket just heals the damage. The Drifloon is stuck. It doesn't have the same efficiency it did before. And now you have 2 turns, 2 penny basically each time. So you can play other supporters in between rather than just getting crushed each individual time. The tools were Lux Cape, Defiance Vest, Hero's Cape, House Handheld Fan, Bravery Charm, and Forest Sealstone. Pretty consistently standard. I think some lists have a second copy of Charm or a second copy of Vest, but I liked, every tool. I used every single tool. So let me jump into the tournament report from today. Round 1, we get to Labyrinth. Gripes with the store. The previous tournament organizer that was there that really cared about the players is now gone, and you can tell the people that are there now don't really care because the person running it didn't even understand the rules of best of 3 despite them holding a best of 3 challenge. And a lot of people, I guess, showed up today because it was best of 3, and I think the first challenge of the season, and a lot of people regard Labyrinth as one of the easier ones because it's a capped at 16. It's a very small store. So people pulled up. Basically, besides, I think there was 4 players there who were Worlds level competitors. There was 3 juniors who I think their parents just happened to stumble upon this and brought them in. A senior who I think also her parents stumbled her in basically because they were doing trades. You can tell by the way they were talking. There was kids that are here to have fun with not real decks. And then there was a couple who showed up. Shout out to you guys who were watching my videos. Thank you for I did not get your name and I feel really bad, but thank you for telling me you liked my videos this morning while I was half asleep. Really appreciate that. And then the other 3 players that were there besides myself were there for points. We kick off. Round 1, I get a player who's played at NAIC. He's playing Lost Box with Roaring Moon. Game 1, he gets to a board state where the Roaring Moon can actually do a lot of damage. But by that point, I've already milled about 3 of his Super Rods and a ton of his Switch cards. So he ends up losing the first game because I think he's going to be 1 or 2 attacks short of just ending it the way he wants to. The second game, we are in a position where he just opens really, really slow, and he wants to start powering up Raikou, I think, to start swinging and putting early pressure on me. But every single time he wants to use Raikou, he's 1 Pokemon short of one-shotting me. So after the first one-shot that I just give up, or not one-shot, but 2-shot I give up, I think, through I think I did it with Hero's Cape. So I gave up the first Hero's Caped Blocklax. Then I ended up putting myself in a position where I just kept gusting and putting I had milled. I think I had hit a significant amount of switching cards, and I had gotten all 4 gate. So this Roaring Moon was just never going to get set up to even be a threat. So I ended up putting the first round, and the second round I go up against one of the juniors, I believe, and they were playing Solrock Lunatone with Spirit Tomb, which is a terrible matchup. What? How do I beat that? Off the first whistle, I hit double Soul, or the flute, sorry, I hit double Solrock, and I'm like, oh my god, thank you. And God bless this kid. He just would not stop talking the entire time. And I was just not awake because it was 10:30 in the morning, and I had to drive into DC. He just would not stop talking, and he just told me all of his counts. He was like, yeah, I only play 2 Switch, and I have no other way to move my active, blah, 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 blah. I have 2 bosses orders, all this, blah, blah, blah. So, I had eventually hit both of his Switch off of the MF sisters, and he just stopped doing anything. The scariest part is when he ladied turn 2 for 4 energy and just started attaching to a Lunatone, and I was like, I am so cooked. And game 1, I think I don't think he showed me the tomb game 1. He just kind of got stuck, and at that point 30 minutes had passed, so I was already confident that I was going to 1-0 at least and win the set. And then game 2, he opens the tomb, and I'm like, what? There's a Spirit Tomb in your deck? And I think off of the second flute, I end up hitting a Solrock and a Indeedee, I think is the Pokemon. It didn't do anything. I don't know why I was in there, but I put them both on the bench, and then eventually the same exact strategy was executed to the point where I end up counter-catching up the Solrock a couple times, and the game ends. So I avoid a narrow doom from Lunatone Solrock, and I advance to the third and final round where I have to win or if another table ties, then it's over. I got down paired. I was the only 2-0, I believe, at this point, because some of the other tables tied. I mean, which is completely understandable. It's a best of 1, and some of these people like the kids were clearly there just to have fun, and best of 3 is just an insane environment to put these children in off the rip. Some of these kids didn't even have the same 60 sleeves. The organizer just didn't say anything, and I was like, dude, what is happening? I don't know, whatever. And then I play against another player that I just met that day. He was playing Dragapult, Charizard, Pidgeot, shenanigans. First game, he sets up super hot, but ends up running out of the gust effects. I end up hitting his Palpad at some point. He's got a Kieran, Turo, Palpad, or his ways to get out of situations, plus Prime Catcher. I end up hitting the pal pad at some point, which just locks him out with the final gust that I have, which is my boss's orders, and it sticks his Bidoof in the active, and he just can't move it, which I hit with the flute earlier on. Game 2, he basically has too fast of a start, and I can't really do anything about it, and I got absolutely cooked very quickly. The third game, we were in an early board state, and we played it out after the tie had been established because I wanted to see what would happen because I wanted to practice. And after the end of the game, we had figured out that would have won the game because I had his pal pad, his Kieran had already been used, Luminane was stuck in the active, and Turo was prized. So there was no way for him to even pivot anything else from that point onwards. So I would have just been able to walk away with the game because he still had like 3 or 4 prizes left to take, and my board was like Lax, Mimikyu or something like that, or like Lax or something. And I had like already committed to the end game board effectively being like I need to play for the stall or the tie here. Unfortunately, the tie breaks were perfect. Like opponents win percentage, opponents win percentage. Everything down to the T was a tie, and the player that was also 201, I did not actually hit in the tournament, so that tiebreaker of head-to-head does not apply. And I had originally thought it was first name because I think his name was James, and I ended up losing. But I was later informed that it is a coin flip now in the system. So I lost a coin flip to get second. So I was like, okay, I got to go to the evening challenge. And here's where it gets a little bit funny. I have a friend who lives in DC. So I was like, I got 3 hours to kill before I have to hit the next challenge. Let's, go get lunch. It'll be fun, whatever. Turns out he was having brunch with his fiance's mom. Whatever. Like the 3 of them were having brunch. Whatever. Unlucky, right? Go next. Text my friend who lives in Alexandria, which is on the way to the Woodbridge challenge in the evening. He's asleep. It's like 2 p.m. and he's asleep. He's like dead asleep, and I'm like sick. So I end up hitting up some of the locals, and they tell me that Mr. Steven's starting a new league over at your local place, or your hobby place, I think it's called. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go support and hang out for a little bit. So I pull up. I end up not playing the local, but I just sit and like talk with people for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, just like chill, like just vibe with everyone. Just support the league, that show the story that there's people that are going to come out so they can make more space for Pokemon. It's one of those leagues that's definitely like neglected, and like apparently like it's got an average of like 2 to 3 people showing up pretty much every week, and I don't know, whatever. Like it's something that like I like to help build the community. So I show up, I hang out with everyone. It's a good 2.5 hours that I whatever yap for a little bit. Then I get in my car and I drive to Woodbridge. Get there with plenty of time to spare. I think half an hour to spare. Turn in my deck list. At 5:30, the TO says that we're waiting on a couple of people because 10 people that paid did not actually show up. So far, like there was pre-reg, and if I'm not gonna lie to you, if I didn't already pre-reg for the morning one in DC, I just would not have gone and I would have gone back to bed. But $15 is a lot of money, and I was like, I am not wasting $15. I'm going. Turns out I wasted $15. Whatever. So we go to Woodbridge. We are all chilling. There's like another 30 minutes to wait. I'm like the first person to turn on my list because I was going to just run back to Lax. I just did not feel like playing Guardian. I was like, I need to like just learn this deck a little bit better. And I like look around the room and I'm like, I have no bad matchups. I'm good. I think I'm cooking today. Like no one has really like anything. I see like one player playing with like Lost City and Cologne, and I'm like, if Lost City plays 2 Cologne, I think I just win because I can go. He has to Cologne my Mimikyu, and then I have Cornerstone, which I just can't get knocked out at that point, and the game ends. Which I was right about. And then we sit down. Round weights paired. There's 13 masters, 1 junior, 1 senior. They were going to do BO3, but they switched to BO1, thank God. And then we start round 1. I end up hitting a Lost Box player. He has a terribly, terribly slow start. He sees my Rotom, and I went first. I think he chose to go second. So I went Rotom, instant charge pass, and he opened Manaphy. So he kind of just went crazy on his first turn. He went like Colress, double thing, and he Pokestopped cards into his hand. Double Comfy Colress, but the 4 cards off the Comfies and Colress were like Gate, Rod energy. So I was like, his hand has to be insane. So I end up like using Pokestop and hitting Nest Ball and something else. So I go Nest Ball for Lax. Sealstone, use Sealstone for Lax. Airy and hit, I think it was like a switch and a switch cart. Now 4 switch cards are gone. And then I just switch cart myself into Lax and charge. He has his turn again. Doesn't even get an attack off. Gets like 8, I think, with the vacuum on the city. Comes back to me. I slam the area again that's already in my hand. I hit another 2 switch cards. So now there are, I think, 7 switch cards gone. He's able to gust up my Rotom, hit into it. I penny it, throw up the Lax, go, pass here. He ends up going to Sableye, but doesn't have the energy. I go draw. I go MF Sisters. I hit like Raw. No, I hit Prime Catcher Switch Cart. And he just, at that point, it's over. Like his deck was like 2 Psychic Energy and his hand was like just nothing there. So I just somehow won without doing anything, basically. Yeah, so 1-0. Next round, I go up against regular Charizard. It was Patrick. Patrick just starts setting up, and I basically get to the end game board state of like Mimikyu plus Cornerstone Ogerpon. But the game doesn't even get that far because I have gotten rid of both rods, Palpad. He gets the vacuum off, I think. But he has no answer into Mimikyu and Ogerpon. Like his game plan was to set up a Radzard, but when all of his energy were on the board, it just didn't matter because I just kept gusting around and making sure he couldn't get the energies off. Once I hit both Rod, it didn't even matter because Charizard usually plays 6 energy. So if you can get, like if the Charizard even gets Turrowed or something, it doesn't even matter because now this Radzard that has 4 can't ever be used because there's 2 Rods already in the discard. So I advance to 2-0, and then I hit, at this point I look, there's 2 2-0s. One is Jacob playing Charizard with the Cologne and the Lost City, and the other is a player playing Frostlass Greninja, which I just cannot stress how much of an auto loss that is. So I can't get paired into this guy. I dodge. I'm like sick. So I hit Jacob. Jacob, like basically like gets to use every Kieran and every Turo, but I just like once he Cologne and kills my Mimikyu, I just penny up my Rotom and I have a Cornerstone with a Hero's Cape in the active, and I was like, what can you do about this? And he goes, attack with Charmander for 30, and I was like, Picnic Basket, counter catcher up something else, go. And he was like, draw, use like Palpad, or he was like Turo up, whatever I put up. So now like Turo, Kieran have been used, Palpad's been used, and then he like goes into that, and then I'm just like, okay, counter catcher up something else, and Picnic Basket game ends. So I just like sweep that, go to 3-0. I'm the only 3-0, so I feel pretty good about winning at this point, but I can still get down paired to the Frostlass guy, and he can just absolutely cook me. So I'm a little bit worried about that. And then I got down paired into Raging Bolt, and I probably used Mimikyu, Heavy Ball, Sealstone. So I'm in a lot of trouble, and every single turn, I have to keep Arvening to get Pokemon into play because for some reason I bottom tend, like I would use my opponent's Pokestop as well because I thought it was like a fair assumption that at some point I would hit a Nest Ball or a Counter Catcher, and all 4 Counter Catcher were in the deck, and multiple Nest Balls were in the deck, and I just could not hit them off the Pokestop, and I just kept trying, and so every turn I had to Arven for Nest Ball and like get another basic into play, which was just really unfortunate because I think if I was able to Counter Catcher earlier, I would have just won the game because my opponent won and took their 6th and final prize on their final switch card and switch effect. Like they had no other ways to do anything, and I just couldn't. Like I don't know, it just sucked because like it took me so long to see the counter catchers that I could never Airy or MF Sisters or do anything to my opponent's hand in tandem. I just had to keep digging for Pokemon to put into play. So I go to 3-1, which is rather unfortunate. And I'm like, I don't know if I win or not, like breakers or whatever. Like one of my opponents dropped, the other 3 went 3-1. We'll see. Breakers go up. I'm up like 5% on the next guy. So pretty hefty. I end up winning the League Challenge, get my 4th dub, and we're donezo with challenges in a serious manner. We're still going to take fun decks, and I will try to win with them because I think it's funny. And thank you, Justin, for being a boss. Next up is League Cups for me, and then we're off to the World Championships. So not too much time left in my prep for the World Championships, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident. I like playing Pokemon. It's having a lot of fun. So please like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. Besides that, peace out, guys.